The first time Georgia played Georgia Tech was in November of 1893. Georgia Tech won that game 28-6, and ever since then, hate has been brewing. In 1903, Georgia bribed its other main rival, Clemson, to beat Georgia Tech, with a bushel of apples for every point scored over 29. Sure enough, the Tigers obliged, steamrolling them 73-0 and winning themselves 44 bushels. But little did Georgia know, Georgia Tech would be so impressed by that beatdown that they would approach Clemson's coach, John Heisman, and hire him later that year. Heisman would then go 7-4 against Georgia in his tenure at Tech, and of course he would eventually win the program's first national championship, kickstarting a run of dominance that would last over 30 years. Over the past half-century, the Yellow Jackets have been the underdog in this rivalry, only winning 15 times since 1964 while the Bulldogs built a juggernaut. But Tech coaches are often judged on their ability to beat their Athens neighbors. Bobby Dodd did it 8 consecutive times from 1949 to 1956. Bobby Ross did it twice in his 5 years. George O'Leary did it 3 times in a row. Paul Johnson did it in 2008, his first year with the team, and then 2 more times in 2014 and 2016 before stepping down. But since then, no Yellow Jacket team has toppled the mighty Georgia Bulldogs. But first-year head coach Calvin Johnson will try to change that today. Welcome to the regular season finale in year 1 of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets dynasty, and it's finally time for clean, old-fashioned hate. The 6-5 Yellow Jackets are reeling from last week's second-half collapse against NC State. And now they descend into a rainy Sanford Stadium to play the number 2 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. It's a blackout here in Athens, but the Jackets are wearing the classic white and gold, hoping to play spoiler. Georgia gets the ball first, led by quarterback Carson Beck. He is missing his starting tight end, his starting left tackle, and one of his starting receivers. But this is one of the deepest rosters in the nation. Beck in the shotgun, play action on first down. He's got a lot of time, and it runs out. Sylvain Yanjuin comes around the edge for the sack on the first play from scrimmage. And that was against the backup left tackle. If there's any strength on our roster that Georgia has to worry about today, it's our pass rush, one of the best in the nation. 2nd and 19, another play action for Beck. This time he gets it out quickly to Ben Urosek, the new starting tight end with Oscar Delpert. Only gains a few, now 3rd and 11. Beck will pass again, and he will be sacked again. Romello Height off the opposite edge. And the Yellow Jacket defense dominates on the opening possession. They will have to punt it away. Christian Leary sets up near midfield, cuts to the left side, and picks up 15 yards on the return. Great starting field position for our offense, led by the junior quarterback, Haynes King. We are in the pistol to start, motioning Leary inside to block and running outside with Jamal Haynes for a gain of 2. 2nd and 8 at the 38. Screen pass to the left side. Singleton makes the grab and runs upfield. 3rd down and 3. In the pistol again, we elect to run it with Haynes, and Georgia is all over it. A conservative play call on 3rd down, but in the rain at the 35-yard line, this is 4-down territory. 4th and 5, Calvin Johnson getting aggressive early in this game. King running the play clock down, takes the snap. Georgia blitzes, they get there, and the pass is incomplete. Jalen Walker lays the hit on King. And we go 4 and out on our opening drive. Carson Beck and the Bulldogs set up at their own 35. The slant is dropped by London Humphreys, one of the best statistical receivers, struggling in the rain. 2nd and 10. Trevor Etienne runs it up the middle for a gain of 5. Defense showing pressure on 3rd and 5. They drop back. Height around the edge, and he gets another sack. Number 3 already, and we're not even halfway through the first quarter. Carson Beck is getting his jersey dirty today, and we get the ball back. Haynes will carry it for a gain of 5 on first down. Second down, Georgia loading the box. We run anyway, and Haynes falls forward. Gain of 3, 3rd and short. RPO pass now. Singleton barely makes it across. The pass led him backwards, but he was able to move the chains. Jamal Haynes now continuing to be bottled up on the ground. 5 carries for 9 yards. 3rd and 8. Screen pass complete to Trey Cooley. Stopped just short at the 48-yard line. And Calvin Johnson wants to go for it again, this time in his own territory. King will hand off to Haynes, and he will not get there. 2 failed 4th down conversions early. A tremendous play by Christian Miller, shedding the block of Keelan Rutledge and getting the tackle for loss. Back to the Bulldogs, and this is a big hole for Trevor Etienne. 1st down run. And that's the best play from scrimmage for either team so far. Beck almost intercepted by Kari G, but he drops it. 2nd down for Beck. We send a blitz, and he completes the screen to Etienne, who eats up 9 yards, stopped 1 yard short. 3rd and 1. Beck throws another bubble screen. This time, it's Rara Thomas, and he gets the 1st down. Georgia is in the red zone. 1st down, pass to the flat, caught by Dylan Bell. He takes it up for 4. Georgia Tech keeping things in front of them on defense. Beck throws off the mark. Intended for Thomas. That could have been a touchdown. And it's the final play of the 1st quarter. It's been an ugly game so far. Neither team even able to gain 25 yards. But Georgia now threatens. 3rd and 6, Beck in the pocket. Throws over the middle, it's caught by Bell. Touchdown, Georgia. And they are on the board first. After multiple missed opportunities by both teams, this was a fantastic throw from Beck. Got Bell in stride, and he ran a perfect route against the man coverage from Saeed Gibbs. 7-0, Bulldogs take the lead. And our offense really needs to wake up. 2 failed 4th downs can be really demoralizing. Leary gives us some solid field position with a nice return to the 28. Jamal Haynes gets the handoff on 1st down, only gains 2. Those early down runs have not been working for us. King back to pass, and it's caught by Malik Rutherford for a short gain. Georgia puts 5 down linemen on 3rd down. They blitz everybody, and they stop Haynes again. We're trying to stay committed to the run, but it's just not working right now. And we have to punt this away. Beck throws into pressure. It's caught by Ben Urasek, who breaks a tackle, and he's up past the 50. Beck in the shotgun on 1st down. He hands off to Etienne, and a lot of running room for him. Another 1st down run. Etienne's got 29 total yards. We pinch the defensive line, and we cover the screen pass perfectly. Omar Daniels gets the tackle for loss. Beck fakes to Etienne, now passes to him. Etienne outruns Daniels to the sideline and gains 7. Now a 3rd and 7. They pick up the blitz. Beck to the sideline. Pass is intercepted. Omar Daniels jumps the route and picks it off. And that throw was way too late from Carson Beck. Humphreys didn't get a ton of separation either. That was great coverage from Daniels, and that silences the Sanford Stadium crowd. We get the ball back at our own 28. King will pass on 1st down this time. Screen pass to Rutherford, blocks our setup, and he goes for 9 yards. And finally, we have a positive 1st down play. We fake the jet sweep to Rutherford. Now King passes to Rutherford, open in the flat. He picks up the 1st down. His 3rd catch, 19 receiving yards. Now King takes a shot down the sideline. It's deflected. Eric Singleton usually able to win those go routes downfield, but this Georgia secondary is fast. Another third down. King, one, Singleton again. He's got him this time. He holds on through contact. What a huge catch from him. Now Trey Cooley gets the ball, goes up the middle for 4 yards. And here's another third down situation. King's pass is caught. Brett Seither boxes out his man like a power forward and makes the grab. Closing in on the 2-minute warning. Jamal Haynes swallowed yet again, and he only has 1 yard in 10 carries. 2nd and 12. King tries to scramble up the middle, and he runs into a wall. 3rd and 14 in the red zone, trying to get our first points. Haynes King is sacked. And King held onto the ball too long. Didn't read the field fully. He did have Rutherford open near the left sideline. And it's going to be a field goal for Aiden Burr. It's up and good from 39 yards, and Georgia Tech is finally on the board. 1 minute, 11 seconds left in the half. Georgia with 2 timeouts. First down pass to Eurosec, gains 6 yards. They do not use a timeout, and they do not hustle to the line. Nearly 40 seconds runs off the clock, and Beck's pass is complete to Dylan Bell for a first down at the 42. Beck over the middle, caught by Eurosec again. He rumbles upfield for another first. And the Bulldogs now out of timeouts. We drop out of a pressure look. Beck throws over the middle again, caught by Humphreys. 2nd and 2 now with the clock running. 10 seconds. Beck throws it away. He had Etienne wide open, but with 9 seconds to go, Georgia brings out the field goal team. Peyton Woodring from 57 yards. It is wide right. It had the power, but not the accuracy. And with 5 seconds left, at our own 40-yard line, we bring our offense out for one final shot. King steps up, launches down the left sideline. It's caught by Leary. He beats Julian Humphrey down the sideline for a touchdown, and Georgia Tech takes the lead at the halftime buzzer. What a momentum swing. I am not sure I've ever seen this stadium so quiet in a rivalry game. Beautiful throw from Haynes King. A moon ball catches Leary right in stride. And that speed is why Christian Leary is one of the best receivers in the nation this season. Extra point is good. And we pull off a stunner heading into the locker rooms. The score is 10-7. We have been able to do that so many times this season, scoring game-changing touchdowns in the first half 2-minute drill. I don't even know how I'm supposed to focus on recruiting after that, but I do have a couple updates. Ohio State has officially taken the lead on Patrick Arianes. We have had him maxed out on our recruiting board for a long time, but doesn't look like we're going to be able to compete with the Buckeyes. We have also lost the lead on Miles Zimba. And remember, he visited last week and saw our epic collapse against NC State. I had a feeling we were going to lose momentum on some of those guys, and South Carolina now looks to be first in line. We had a comfortable lead on Tremont Lamb, though, and that has not changed. Lamb getting set to enter his top 3 stage. And we continue to be the only team pursuing defensive end David Cushenberry. He is very close to committing to us. Taekwon Chubb has entered his top 5 stage, and we are winning that battle in a landslide. And since I expect to lose out on Zimba, I have added a new tackle prospect to our board in Ben Henderson, a 3-star gem pass protector right tackle, and he is going to start off with 80 pass block. We are sending the house for him, and we're also pursuing Rashad Ream, an agile left tackle who has balanced ratings and some solid athleticism. We are back for the second half in Athens, and we get the ball at the 23-yard line, up by 3. Jamal Haynes continues to be crowded at the line of scrimmage, only 3 total yards. Haynes gets it again, runs into 2 more Georgia defenders. Christian Miller stops him for no gain. 3rd and 8. King will pass. It is incomplete. Singleton couldn't make the catch as he was going to the ground. And it's another 3 and out for us. Dylan Bell turns upfield and moves the chains for Georgia. And they have the ball past midfield. Carson Beck throws a rocket. It is jarred loose by Amari Harvey. 2nd down. Beck will dump to his running back, and there is no one to stop him. Etienne headed for the end zone, stopped just short. Warren Burrell made the touchdown-saving chase down, but the Bulldogs continue to dissect our blitzes. 1st and goal from the 1. Etienne making moves, but Zeke Biggers gobbles him up, again just shy of the goal line. 2nd down and 1. Beck on the read option. Tackled behind the line by Kyle Eford. A touchdown for Georgia will take the lead back. 3rd and goal at the 2. They hand off to Etienne, and he runs into Eford and Clayton Powell-Lee. What a goal line stand by the Georgia Tech defense. And Peyton Woodring will knock in a chip shot to tie the game. For the most part, our defense has been lights out. They have gotten stops when it's mattered most. And the offense has to burn a timeout before getting the first playoff on this next drive. We set up a Christian Leary jet sweep, spins free from a man, and picks up 22 yards. He has been the player of the game so far. We go with Haynes again, and for the first time today, he's got running room. 1st down for Haynes, but it's going to be called back due to a hold from Joe Fusel. He always manages to do it at the worst possible time. 1st and 20 from Haynes King. The pass to Rutherford is caught in the flat. Rutherford takes it up for a gain of 8. We set up a tunnel screen now. It's complete to Chase Lane, and it gains 5. 3rd down and 7 from our own 45. Empty set for Haynes King. King takes the snap, back to pass, and pressured before he can get a clean ball out. Jalen Walker with another big play for the Georgia defense. And they force another punt. It is Carson Beck handing off to Trevor Etienne. And Omar Daniels gets in on run defense, stopping Etienne for a gain of 2. 2nd down and 8. Quick pass caught by Rara Thomas ahead of the chains. 2.5 minutes to go in the 3rd. Screen pass caught by Dylan Bell. Gain of 4. 3rd and 5. We send more pressure on 3rd down, and the pass is complete to Urasek. Beck has had some really nice throws under pressure today. 2nd down, they go with Etienne again, running left, gaining 6. And they go empty again on 3rd and 4. Beck throws short, and it's dropped by Thomas. He would have had an easy 1st down. We set up at the 16-yard line. Haynes swallowed up again. And that's going to be the end of the 3rd quarter. Still a tie game, an ugly one in the rain. And this has not been the ideal showing for the number 2 Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia Tech has played spoiler to a lot of ranked teams already this season, and we are making the Bulldogs sweat right now. Could it happen again? Haynes gains 5 yards on the check down, sets up a 3rd and 5. Georgia sends pressure. Haynes completes to Christian Leary. Just 3 catches for him, but all 3 have been in huge moments. Fresh set of downs at the 29. Hand off to Haynes. Weaving through the defense. He is free in a foot race. Stopped at the 13. And there is the Jamal Haynes we know and love. 58 yards on that carry. He only had 3 before this play. Look at him outrunning the defenders at the line of scrimmage. And then he gets a huge block from the center, Weston Franklin. Look at him here, getting out in space, destroying that cornerback. And awesome cut from Haynes, planting his foot, bending the defense at will. We are in the red zone. Speed option on first down. King keeps it, gains 2. Hasn't been able to scramble much today. King will pass, and he's got Leary. Leary takes it past the markers, and we have a 1st and goal at the 2. Direct snap to Haynes. Untouched into the end zone. And the Yellow Jackets have the lead once more. Good things happen when you get the running game going, and that's exactly what we did on this drive. 17-10, and the Georgia Bulldogs are on the ropes in Athens. Brent Key's Yellow Jackets last year gave the Bulldogs a run for their money, only losing by 8. But Calvin Johnson, in his first year as coach, is in the driver's seat in the final game of the year. 3rd down and 2 for Carson Beck and the Bulldogs. It's a handoff. It stops short. Etienne gobbled up by Romello Height. And we have the ball back up 7. King gets it to Brett Seither. That gains 4. Gotta manage the clock here. Taking off every precious second we can. Leary, another jet sweep, and he's free past midfield to the 34. That counts as a pass, but we are running all over these Bulldogs in the 4th quarter. Now an RPO on first down, and nearly a disaster. Dan Jackson could not pick it off. 2nd down and 10, airmailed, intended for Brett Seither. He won his route, but King couldn't put it on him. 3rd down and 10. This time he's got Seither short of the first down, but sets up a much more manageable field goal. 44 yards in the rain for Aiden Burr. The kick is up and right down the middle. The Yellow Jackets lead the Bulldogs by 2 scores with 4:15 remaining. Georgia on upset watch. They have not lost to Georgia Tech since 2016. Tension in the air at Sanford Stadium. 1st and 10 for Beck. He gets it to Etienne on the screen pass. Bad pursuit from the Georgia Tech defense. And a 1st down for Etienne. Bunch set to the left side. Shotgun pass for Beck. Caught near the sideline by Thomas for another 1st. 35-yard line now. 3 minutes remaining. Another screen pass. Etienne falls forward for 5. Bulldogs finding offensive momentum. Beck drops back, has time, throws to the end zone. Caught by London Humphreys. And Georgia cuts this to a field goal game. We were in our bread and butter Tampa 2 defense. And one of the main weaknesses of that defense is it can get beat by a fast receiver running straight up the middle. Under 3 to go, we still sit on a 3-point lead, and we feed Jamal Haynes. Wrapped up after a gain of 7. 70 yards for Jamal. 2nd down, now he's getting better blocking. Stumbles, though, and tripped up just past the 1st down marker. 2-minute warning. King hands off to Haynes again. This time he is stopped. Georgia takes a timeout. On 2nd down, we fake the jet sweep, and they see right through it. Haynes is stopped at the line, but falls forward for a gain of 4. What do you do here? Do you pass and risk an incompletion, or do you run? And if you don't get the 1st down, at least Georgia uses their final timeout. And that's exactly what happens. Smile Munden stops him behind the line and will force us to punt it away with 1:50 remaining. David Shanahan with a good boot, fielded at the 20 by Arian Smith. He takes it up for a 10-yard return. 1:42 on the clock for Carson Beck and company. No timeouts remaining. Beck over the middle, caught by Urasek. 7-yard gain. 2nd down and 3. Double A-gap look for the defense. They pull out of it. Beck with time. Downfield. Just out of reach for Urasek. He had him wide open at the sideline and sailed the pass. 3rd down and 3. Carson Beck is sacked. And that is the senior Kevin Harris around the edge. A catastrophic play for Georgia. Now they have to hustle back to the line with no timeouts. Beck, downfield, deflected by Miles Brooks. No timeouts remaining for Georgia, and Georgia Tech can kneel out the victory. Brooks breaks on that ball at the perfect time, and we have done the unthinkable. We have defeated Georgia on the road in Season 1 of our Dynasty. This team never runs out of surprises. It's like they're a mystery box. You never know which version of Georgia Tech you're going to get on any given weekend. Last weekend, it looked like this team was just done. It looked like they wanted to just end the season as quickly as possible and move on to next. We were outscored 37-0 in the second half against NC State. And to come back 1 week later and play maybe the best defensive game we've played all season against the number 2 team in the nation, our bitter rivals, in a rainy, hostile environment. The fans are decked in black. I'd be surprised if anyone picked the Yellow Jackets to win this game. It was not the greatest offensive performance for either team. A lot of punts, a lot of drops. We missed on 2 4th down conversions to start the game, and it looked like we might be doomed. But somehow Haynes King manages to avoid throwing an interception after throwing 5 last week. He made all the right plays. The running game was not pretty for the majority of the day, but we got it going when it mattered most. That 58-yard run by Haynes was a major turning point. Another major turning point was, of course, our first touchdown of the game, the long ball to Christian Leary at the end of the first half. This game was as close as it gets. It could have gone either way, but ultimately we made the plays when we needed to, and Georgia did not. And that was due in large part to our incredible defense today, led by the pass rush. Sylvain Yanjuan got the sack on the first play from scrimmage, and that just set the tone. Yanjuan and Romello Height made timely plays, but how about Kevin Harris, who has played behind Height and Yanjuan the entire season, comes in a key moment and gets the game-winning sack. I've said this season was a roller coaster many times, but I just can't find another word to describe this year other than roller coaster. 7-5, 4-4 in conference play, but our record does not tell the full story. 4 of our 7 wins were against ranked teams. 3 of them were top 10 teams at the time, and 2 of them were on the road. We had a grueling schedule. And yeah, we did have some bad losses, but honestly, with the way we performed against the tough teams in our schedule, I'm really happy with how we handled it, and it makes me really excited for the future. What an incredible way to end our season. But we have a lot of games around the country to get to here on Rivalry Week. Ryan Day finally beats Michigan in a marquee matchup, number 1 versus number 8. The Buckeyes stay undefeated. Will Howard was fantastic, and the defense picked off Alex Orji 4 times, with Denzel Burke getting 2. And they also get 6 sacks, with Jason Moore getting 3. NC State follows up the big win over us with a big loss to North Carolina. They are blown out by North Carolina backup quarterback Connor Harrell, filling in for the injured Max Johnson, who will miss the rest of the season. Miami continues to roll other than their loss to us earlier this year. 51-8 win over Syracuse. Weirdly enough, we got blown out by Syracuse and beat Miami. Such a weird year. Xavier Restrepo had 3 catches in this game. All 3 were touchdowns. Boston College ends its best regular season in a while with a big win over Pittsburgh. And Louisville beats Kentucky in a thriller. Very good game from Tyler Schuff. SMU finishes the season ranked with a win over Cal, thanks to Jordan Hudson's 12 catches for $169 and a touchdown. And Florida State ends their season on a good note with a win over Florida. And here are the final standings at the end of the ACC regular season. The conference championship will be Boston College versus Miami, as 3 teams tie for the lead at 6-2. SMU is the odd one out. We are one of a ridiculous 9 teams with a 4-4 conference record. However, we finish at the bottom of that list, number 13. And wow, Texas State, who has been undefeated, loses to South Alabama in the season finale. So now, the race for that Group of 5 playoff spot gets a little bit hotter, because Rice is going to jump ahead of them in the rankings with a win over UCF. And Fresno State still has an outside shot with a big win over UCLA. They finish at 10-2. Rutgers enters the postseason as the number 10 team in the nation. They go 9-3. And Texas Tech avoids disaster, narrowly beating West Virginia. And lastly, Oklahoma, after an up-and-down season, climbs back into the top 10 with a win over LSU. And with that, the conference championship games are set. The Big Ten has number 1 versus number 2, Ohio State taking on Oregon. Meanwhile, number 3 takes on number 4 in the Big 12 championship, Kansas versus Oklahoma State. And number 5 Tennessee plays number 7 Georgia in the SEC championship, rounding out the Power 4 conferences. And the Group of 5 spot is still anyone's for the taking. Rice is likely in with a win, but if they lose, it could be Texas State or Fresno State. It could even be Memphis. Now it's time to advance the week, and while we are bowl eligible, we won't see our matchup until a couple weeks later after conference championships. But we are awaiting a couple recruit commitments, and we get one in David Cushenberry. The run-stopping defensive end adds to our recruiting class, and that's all we get this time around. And South Carolina takes a commanding lead on Miles Zimba. It doesn't look like any other team has much of a chance at this point. But almost all the other major targets of ours have us number 1. Ben Henderson, who we just started pursuing, has us at number 2. And Ohio State does land the wide receiver Patrick Arianes. We were so close, but the Buckeyes just swooped in at the end and stole him away from us. I mean, he had us number 1 for multiple weeks in a row. That's just really sad. With the big upset win, our championship contender grade goes to a B. And that means we no longer have any players at risk of transferring. Remember, Jamal Haynes wanted to play for a championship contender, and for a while we were not meeting his deal breaker. Now we don't have to worry about maybe our best offensive player transferring. Kari G and Joe Fusel, though, are still at decent risk due to our C Pro potential. Romello Height wins ACC Defensive Player of the Week for his 1.5 sack, 3 tackle for loss performance. And we now move into Army-Navy Week, where there's not much to do but finish up some recruiting battles. Since we have essentially lost the battle for Miles Zimba, I am now sending the house for Rashad Ream. And with my leftover hours, I have scouted another potentially intriguing quarterback athlete prospect. Dion Cautler is a 3-star gem with 89 speed, 90 acceleration. His arm talent is fairly mediocre at only 87 throw power. His accuracy is not amazing either, but solid for a 3-star. And he is 6'4", very skinny. I have not been recruiting quarterbacks hard during this class because Haynes King will be returning for another year. But if we're able to land Cautler, I think he would be a great guy to redshirt and then compete for the starting job once King leaves. Army and Navy play a classic at FedEx Field, with Army winning in overtime, 25-24. And no commitments this week. Taekwon Chubb and Rashad Ream, though, advance to their next stages. Taekwon Chubb is in his top 3, so if we keep at it, we should be able to land him, but Tennessee just made a lot of progress. It's conference championship week, and we are not playing the game, but this is our time to make coaching changes if we so please. And I think there was enough good on both sides of the ball this year that I'm going to keep both of my coordinators around. Offensive coordinator George Burdell has the scheme guru archetype and gives us a fair amount of attribute upgrades, while Casey Stephen has been an elite recruiter that maybe has played a part in our ability to land 5-star defensive players. The bowl games are not finalized yet, but I decided to look at the bowl projections, and I do not see Georgia Tech anywhere. It's conference championship week though, which means some of the biggest matchups of the season. We'll start with the Big Ten Championship, the one everyone is most excited for, and it lived up to the expectations. Oregon takes a 12-point lead late in the fourth quarter, and Ohio State scores a long touchdown to get back within 5. A minute 20 remaining. Ohio State has the ball back, and G. Scott Jr. gets open down the middle of the field. Will Howard on second down finds G. Scott again at the sideline. Inside the 30. Howard again. He is pressured, sacked. The ball is loose. Picked up by Cam Alexander of Oregon. He runs it all the way back. And Oregon looks to have sealed the Big Ten Championship in their inaugural season with the conference. Justin Jacobs and Cam Alexander look to have combined on the game-sealing play. But hold on a minute. This is really close. The ball looks to have come out simultaneously as Howard's knee goes down. They overturn the call. It's Buckeyes ball with 35 to go. Howard to the end zone, caught by Emeka Egbuka. Oh my goodness. What a turnaround. And Ohio State has the lead all of a sudden. That was a dime from Howard to Egbuka. This would already be an all-time classic Big Ten championship if it ended here. But oh no, there is a lot more coming. Oregon stops the Buckeyes on the 2-point conversion. And that ends up being a key play. A holding penalty sets Oregon back. 1st and 17 at the 7. Dillon Gabriel nearly sacked for a safety in the end zone. Manages to spin out of it and get a throw off. Now a 3rd and 12. Gabriel barely gets it away. Pass is caught! Terrence Ferguson with the clutch grab. And now Gabriel launches down the field. Caught again! Trayshawn Holden was out of bounds! And now 2 seconds remain. They were so close. Now the Ducks need a miracle. Gabriel with another deep pass. Flag is thrown! It's pass interference on the Buckeyes. And this game keeps getting crazier. And Oregon will get an untimed down with a 15-yard penalty, setting up a 54-yard field goal for Atticus Sappington. It's up and good! An improbable ending, and Oregon manages to squeak by with the Big Ten championship, handing Ohio State its first loss of the season. I don't think I've ever seen a simulated CPU game quite that crazy. And the fact that it happened in the Big Ten Championship, number 1 versus number 2, I was on the edge of my seat watching this. If you can't tell, I like the Ducks. They're pretty cool. Dillon Gabriel had 2 interceptions in this game, but made those clutch conversions on that final drive. Just a gutsy game from him. Tez Johnson doing what he does best, 10 catches, 119 yards, a touchdown. And that's just enough to fend off a comeback from Will Howard, Emeka Egbuka, and the Buckeyes. Moving on to the ACC, the Miami Hurricanes are victorious over Boston College, who engineered a comeback attempt in the fourth quarter but fell short. Killicam Ward was on point, 17-21, nearly perfect with 4 touchdowns. And it was a Jacoby George legacy game, nearly 200 yards and 2 scores. UGA runs roughshod over Tennessee and they come back from the loss to us with a win in the SEC Championship. 290 yards for Georgia, mostly earned by Roderick Robinson and Trevor Etienne, who both averaged over 12 yards per carry. And Carson Beck with a much better game here. He was turnover free. Even though the Vols lost, Nico Yamaleava still got his. Over 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 to Dante Thornton Jr. Oklahoma State conquers the Big 12. They beat Kansas here, and it wasn't really close until the fourth quarter. Ollie Gordon II proved too much for the Kansas defense to handle. And here are the rest of the results. Texas State wins the Sun Belt, but Rice also wins, and they dominate Memphis 21-3. And they are ranked one spot ahead of Texas State in the CFP Top 25. And it appears as if the Bobcats have narrowly missed out on the playoffs. But for some reason, Texas State makes it in anyway. Man, if there are any Rice fans out there, they've got to be pissed at the College Football Playoff Committee. And they've got a lot of explaining to do. Why would you rank Rice number 12 if you're not going to put them in the playoff? This game really needs some fine-tuning when it comes to rankings. But either way, the final bracket is set. Miami gets the playoff bye as ACC champions, and they are the number 4 seed. Oregon gets the overall number 1 after defeating Ohio State, and the Buckeyes get the 5 seed and a date with the Bobcats. Georgia gets the 3 seed, and Oklahoma State is ahead of them at number 2. NC State makes it in at large, even after that bad loss to UNC to end their year, and even with a bunch of key offensive starters injured, like their starting quarterback, the committee didn't use that as an excuse to leave them out. I'm sure Florida State fans are making a big stink about that. So NC State will play Kansas in the first round, and the final matchup is Rutgers versus Penn State. And you know I love to follow storylines in my franchises and dynasties outside of my own team. We will definitely be watching the College Football Playoff next episode and following all the big storylines. It's time to simulate into bowl season, which is when all the awards are finalized, and we should get our bowl matchup. But Tremont Lamb officially commits to the Yellow Jackets, a center who specializes in pass protection, and we get a new punter in Tremaine Sheridor, as well as 2-star wide receiver Jimmy Smalls. And we still have a few battles to wrap up, but so far so good with our recruiting class. We earned 3,000 XP from our postseason goals, and that's going to let us level up Calvin Johnson quite a bit. Now it's time to see who the award winners are and if we won any. Carson Beck is the Heisman Trophy winner. Didn't exactly look like a Heisman against us, but that is still a very good season. 39 touchdowns, 6 picks. Romello Height is the Defensive Player of the Year with 17 sacks, 36 tackles for loss. Well deserved for the senior pass rusher. He was in the Heisman conversation for quite a bit during the season. Of course, he also wins Best Defensive End. And he wins the Lombardi Award for Best Lineman. Romello Height stands alone as the best defensive player in college football. It is officially now bowl season, and we have a bye week in week 1. That's a little odd. I checked last time and we weren't projected to go to any bowl games for some reason, and that seems to have held true. That means our season is going to end on our upset win over Georgia. I'm not so mad about that, honestly. I still have no clue why they didn't put us in. I mean, there were quite a few 6-6 teams. I don't know why they leave a 7-5 team out. But that is it for Season 1 of the Georgia Tech Dynasty. Off-season coming in the next episode. And a lot of the seniors on our roster probably didn't know it, but that's their last game. We say goodbye to Romello Height, who had one incredible year with the Yellow Jackets after transferring from USC. He finishes 3rd in the Heisman race. And our other starting edge rusher, Sylvain Yanjuan, also graduates. And he had a fantastic season as well, finishing top 12 in the Best Defensive Player rankings. LaMiles Brooks also graduates after 5 great years with the team, and this was maybe his best, finishing as the 4th defensive back. and making the game-sealing deflection against Georgia on his final defensive snap. Christian Leary will graduate, and if I'm an NFL team, I am taking a look at this man. Speed kills, and he used it to finish as one of the best receivers in the country and one of the best returners. He outperformed his rating by a long shot. Haynes King's up and down junior season comes to an end. 25 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. And some of those touchdowns came in huge moments. And some of those interceptions also came in huge moments. But despite everything, Haynes King enters the Georgia Tech record books. They've mostly been a run-first team, and King's 25 touchdown passes this year are the most all-time by a Tech quarterback. Jamal Haynes will likely return for Season 4. He was threatening to transfer for a while, but we have convinced him to stay. He finishes the year with 921 yards on the ground, 7 touchdowns. He was our bell cow, but I believe Haynes is much better than those stats suggest, and I feel like we have some unfinished business with him. Leary is a 1,000-yard receiver and has 9 touchdowns to lead us. Eric Singleton really played second fiddle, but he is still tremendously talented, and he will return for another year without Leary in the way. And we will have to replace a really good tight end in Brett Seither, not a featured part of our offense, but made some key catches during the season. Starting right tackle Jordan Williams also graduates, and it'll be important to find some offensive linemen who can be better than this. 8 sacks allowed in his senior year. LaMiles Brooks, Kyle Eford, and Clayton Powell-Lee all had really good defensive seasons in my opinion. They all flew around the field and made tons of tackles. Our run defense was not the best, however, I really don't put the blame on them. I think it's more on the guys up front. Of course, our pass rush was very good. Height and Yanjuan combined for 26 sacks, but we were really thin in the middle with our interior linemen getting pushed around quite a bit. We get 9 total interceptions as a team. We'd like to see that number go up a little bit, but I really am excited about the future of this secondary with our highest rated corner, Amari Harvey, entering his senior year next year, and Saeed Gibbs, who had a huge breakout this year, has 2 seasons left. Clayton Powell-Lee is also only a junior. Some other players leaving that I didn't mention already include defensive tackle Zeke Biggers, cornerback Warren Burrell, who we used a lot as a safety but also as a nickelback, backup running back Trey Cooley, our starting center Weston Franklin, Micaiah Scott, who was a really versatile defensive lineman that played inside and outside for us, defensive tackle Jordan Vandenberg, and punter David Shanahan. Kevin Harris, the guy who made the big sack at the end of the Georgia game, is graduating. Same with Joshua Robinson, another edge rusher who would rotate in from time to time. Receivers Abdul Jannah, Chase Lane, and Avery Boyd. Backup tight ends Jermaine Beetham and Jackson Hawes. And linebacker Trey Tatum. We have 20 tokens to upgrade head coach Calvin Johnson. And we go into the motivator tree because I am in search of that off-season training boost that can be overpowered. And we also upgrade the recruiting hours for receivers and tight ends, of course, because it's Calvin Johnson. That should aid us in a few of these battles which we have yet to close. But overall, I am really happy with this recruiting class in year 1. It is one of the top classes in the country with 3 5-stars, all on defense. And as of now, it grades out as the number 7 class in the nation. The future is bright in Atlanta. And that's going to bring this episode and this season to an end. I was certainly not expecting it to end like this. I thought that we would lose to Georgia and then play in a bowl game at 6-6, but turns out neither of those things happened. Maybe there's some Georgia Tech bowl ban I don't know about. Regardless, we ended on a good note, and we have an exciting off-season ahead where we will see how some of our young players develop and also try to replace some of the seniors that we are losing. I hope you guys enjoyed the roller coaster ride of Season 1. I certainly did. We certainly showed the potential of what we can become in the future. The fact that Haynes King and Jamal Haynes are returning for their senior years is really huge, and I think that really bodes well for our chances to improve next year. But it's going to be really fun to get some of those 4- and 5-star freshmen out there next season. as well as whatever talent we bring in the transfer portal. I'm excited for this series to really blossom and grow on my channel. I learned a lot in Season 1, mostly that one game per episode is a really slow pace and it takes a long time to edit and commentate. I may decide to speed it up going forward, especially during the middle part of seasons where the games aren't quite as important, or maybe when we're playing a bad team. I'm just really glad college football gaming is back. It's a nice change of pace from my 2K series and the drafting and trading cycle. Figuring out recruiting in this game was really fun, and I'm continuing to have fun with it months after the game first came out. But that'll be it for this episode as we move into the first off-season of the series in next episode. I hope to see you guys there. If you like what you see, please leave a like, subscribe, even turn notifications on while you're at it. Leave some feedback in the comments and even recommend me to a friend if you feel comfortable doing that. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, to hell with Georgia.